Grania Marcus is going to take us on a journey of her life and her activism through stories and songs. And I think we just got the songs working. We are going to travel with her from Long Island and then Zambia in Africa, Florida, Western New York, the Mexican border, back to Western New York. Somewhere along the way, she got a master's degree in American history from um, Stony Brook, SUNY Stony Brook, and then a PhD in American history from City University. And now she's with us. We're so fortunate. She's chosen beautiful music to accompany her description of her journey, and we're going to be playing the music through YouTube videos. With disturbing regularity, YouTube videos pop up ads. And we are going to try to exit those ads as quickly as we possibly can. Please know that neither Grania nor I chose the content of the ads. And please try to view them with either patience or humor. And I know already with your laughs that you're going to deal with them with humor. So thank you so much. Um, so, um, yeah, I was going to have that up here, but maybe here. How about if I come back there? I can do that. Okay, here, you can have things.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. I'm too close. Not too close. Okay. Well, first I wanted to thank Carolyn and John and Don for figuring out all the technology issues. I'm very grateful for their help. Can you go on to slide 2? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you want the music going now?
You can do the music first, yeah.
Hey husbands, Valentine's Day is coming. And if you've found the love of your life, get her this.
Be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee, swift and beautiful for thee.
Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from thee, filled with messages from thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite.
Thank you. I don't want to play the whole thing because it takes quite a bit of time. Yeah, throughout my life, my spiritual journey, my work for justice have all been inspired by sacred music and also by scripture. But music has been a huge part of my life. I sang in choirs, various church choirs for 50 plus years until I got this problem voice. So now I don't sing, at least not in anybody next to anybody, if I can avoid it. Yeah, and music has really been something that has almost supported me in working for justice. The the expressions of peace and love and courage and inclusion to me are the heart of justice. And that's what you find, or what I've found, in various pieces of music. The courage part I definitely needed, because when I started out when I was much younger, I was terrified of speaking in front of people, for example, and just terrified of a lot of public things. So I had to kind of teach myself, and the music really helped me do that, as well as the scripture. So let me just, okay. That's my dad with us. And the Lord's Prayer became kind of the centering prayer of my life. When I was really young, my dad taught us to say the Lord's Prayer. He was Episcopalian. My mom was an atheist or agnostic, I guess you would say. And so he taught us to say the Lord's Prayer, and we would come and at night and, go in with my dad and my mom, and we would say the Lord's Prayer with him. And that became a source of great comfort. And it was a way to be, to me, was a way to be close to my daddy and to God. And so it was that feeling of being surrounded by comfort and the presence of God were what I guess how I felt then about the Lord and about God. I mean, 7 years old, you're not exactly a theologian at that age. So, um, hmm?
The picture, which one are you?
Oh Lord, no. If I look at it carefully, I probably can figure it out. But that one, we look so much alike that it's kind of weird. I picked it because it was a picture that was with my dad, and hmm? Yeah, just some of it. You don't have to play the whole thing.
Hello.
Are you want to play with me?
Sure. You want me to?
Yeah, that one. This piece of music, Cesar Frank, Lord's Prayer, is like one of my favorites.
Which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily.
I wish we could play the whole thing, but I I will run out of time. Um, so the next slide. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's the fall. Yeah, I got. Um, yeah. So we lived in Seacliff on Long Island then, and when we were around 8, we joined St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Seacliff, which is this church built when Seacliff was founded, like 1860s. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. Okay, so we joined St. Luke's Episcopal Church. I think initially mostly because a close friend of ours went there, and we thought, well, it's a good place to go. Um, and we would occasionally play hymns as violin and piano duets for the service. Um, but overall, I just felt like the church was a community and I felt loved and nurtured and embraced by God. And I just loved the beauty of the church and the music. And I learned Micah 6:8, which is what's on the slide there, in Sunday school. And the message really struck me because I thought that every child should have kindness and fairness and justice in their lives, especially kids. So that was okay, the next. And this is we moved to New York City when I was about 15. You want to play that first? Okay. Okay. That piece I learned not because I could sing a solo like that, but our choir at the boarding school that I attended in Washington, D.C. after we moved to New York, a Georgetown Visitation Preparatory School. And my sister and I were 2 of 3 non-Catholics. And that helped me understand. We were excluded we had to go to mass every day at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And, but we were excluded from communion because we weren't Catholic. And so that helped me understand pretty early that inclusion is a really important part of justice and of equity. I don't think I knew the word equity then, but that people all felt included no matter what their station in life or whatever. So I guess I sort of started very small there, baby step, when the Middle States Association team came to evaluate our school. And we had a meeting, they had a meeting, I should say, with all the students, and especially the students that lived there. And so I decided the food was really pretty terrible at the school. And so I decided I would speak up to them and tell them, because mostly we had good things to say. So it wasn't like all bad. But so that meeting, I told them how bad the food was and advocated for improved meals. And that was my first effort to bring good things to our community. So it was a small step, but for me it was an important step because it was the first time I had ever stood up and advocated for something, and it really was a very difficult thing to do in a weird way. So even though the students were very enthusiastic, so. Pardon? Oh, God, no, the food actually improved. No, it was kind of amazing, actually. Anyway, yeah, next. Okay. In 1964, you can, the whole mass. Yeah. It's a mass called Misa Luba, and it's from all of the singers are Congolese from what when they started was the Belgian Congo, but very shortly, right around that time, I think in 65, Congo became an independent country, but it also had a lot of violence. And so a lot of refugees from Congo were coming to Zambia and were actually welcomed by the government. So I heard that mass when I was working with those refugees as, believe it or not, a translator. I actually spoke really decent French at the time, most of which I think in Spanish now, so I have a really hard time dredging any French up. But yeah, I worked with them just to assist them in getting things like housing and food and schools for their kids and those kinds of things. And so this Misa Luba to me is just wonderful. It is really sometimes if you're interested, I'll send it to you because the whole mass is just absolutely amazing because it's an African African choir and instrumentalists. And it's the Latin Mass, which was then still in Latin, but it is totally African, really. So from the Luba tribe. So I love it. I listen to it to this day when I'm feeling down or, not able to do something. It kind of spruces me up, and that it's just the joy and inclusiveness of it. Because, the country was run by the Belgians, and it was a Belgian colony. And so that it was these singers just formed how they would sing the mass. So,
What program were you in?
excuse me?
What organization got you to go there from your school?
Oh, that is a very good question. And it's very personal, which is I got married in Britain, and I went there with my husband, who I must tell you, my marriage did not last all that long. So it's not, so it was a long time ago. But anyway, that's what brought me to Zambia. And I just, when they put out a call for French translators, I, wanted to do that. So,
Zambian tribe?
no, on the Congolese.
Congolese. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it was interesting because Zambia was the government, I mean, when you see what's happening with ours now, and they were very welcoming to the refugees, even though there were thousands, I mean, eventually, but they were really coming to Zambia. So, next.
Oh, I like this.
Walked this lonesome valley, he had to walk it by himself. Oh, nobody else could walk it for him. He had to walk it by himself. We must walk this lonesome valley. We have to walk it by ourselves. Oh, nobody else can walk it for us. We have to walk it by ourselves. You must go and stand your trial. You have to stand it by yourself. Oh, nobody else can stand it for you. You have to stand it by yourself.
That song helped me recall the days, and I started in 1968 in graduate school, and while I was there at that time was, of course, the height of the Vietnam War. And I met, I talked with various students who had low draft numbers, which meant they were vulnerable at that time. And there was some of them were eating so much that they would be too fat to be drafted, and or starving themselves because and they would get so thin that they wouldn't be drafted, and so weak. And I, I just met a lot of students that were really struggling with whether to go to Canada. And then there was one boy who, I call him boy, but he had been drafted and came back from the Vietnam War and committed suicide soon after he started at Stony Brook. So it was just a really fraught time for young men. And I was asked if I wanted to be trained as a draft counselor. And so my husband and I, or he wasn't my husband then, but partner and I were both trained, and I ended up doing draft counseling for 2 years. I think it was about 2 years. And I always felt this song, Lonesome Valley, was kind of what they were going through, because they really were dealing with these life issues, things that would change their life forever, decisions. And it was, I could counsel them about what is actually going to happen if they do X or Y. But in the end, the struggle was all theirs. So that song really brings back that time. Ed? Mhm. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a quotation from the Presbyterian Confession of 1967. The only difference is it's made more, what is the word? More universal, like inclusive. Yes, thank you. Because the original was sort of more about man than everyone. So, but this was I had joined Setauket Presbyterian Church, or not joined, but I was singing in the choir there, and I think I might have joined the outreach committee by then, I'm not sure. But I hadn't actually joined the church because I felt like I didn't believe some of the things that I was supposed to believe. Now, I didn't talk to a minister about this, but I just decided on my own, I just don't, I'm not good enough for this. And so then we had a choir loft, so I was singing in the choir. I was very pregnant with my son, and the minister started reading from this part of the Confession of 1967, and it's like I felt completely enveloped by love, by God, accepted. And it was truly like a miracle. And for the first time, I felt like I really didn't have to believe every single word in order to be a member of the church. And so I joined Setauket Presbyterian Church. Let me fix this because I did something. Carolyn, my shaky hands are not doing it.
Smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you can go on to the next one.
Best way to get rid of yellow, crumbling toenails.
Oh, I did forget to say, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing I was going to tell you. I will. Yeah, I just want to, before we go to that, I wanted to just tell a quick funny story about how I got to attend Setauket Presbyterian Church. My husband and I we weren't married then. We were planning on getting married, and he was Jewish and I was Episcopalian, and we were both divorced, so we felt like the rabbi or the Episcopal priest wouldn't want to marry us. So whether that was true or not, I don't know, but we just kind of felt that way. And so a Stony Brook campus minister suggested that the Presbyterian minister at Setauket Presbyterian Church would, quote, marry anybody. So so we went to see him, and he insisted that we do some premarital counseling and started with the question, what makes you think you won't get divorced this time? So I liked his sort of down to earth style, and that's how I ended up starting to go there. So I'll just go on now to the next one. Yeah, this was at the time of 3 Mile Island, and of course everybody was talking. But we had this nuclear plant being built, when they say in our backyard, 12 miles from our house. So it really was like around the corner. So I started reading a lot, and books and articles and all that. And I became convinced that we definitely don't want this. And I also knew people at Stony Brook, scientists who were also opposed to it for a variety of reasons. So in our church, we started a program for the public and for the church that would, talk about the various issues, even the theological issues. And the fourth part of it was a debate. And at that time, to say that I wasn't a public speaker, I think would be the understatement of the century, because I was terrified. However, we were debating on the affirmative side, 2 nuclear engineers. And on the negative side, I, a graduate student in history, no scientific training, and my partner was oh, what's the word? Oh, insurance agent. So I think we were equally not scientists, right? Okay, so this debate, I got sick with the flu, like really bad flu, and my daughter too. And so there we are lying in bed, and I'm supposed to be figuring out what I'm going to say as an initial statement. And my mind was totally blank. And then about 3 days before the debate, I still didn't have anything because I had like 104 plus. I mean, it was really, really bad flu. And plus, I was just terrified. So my mind was blank. And I'm sitting there looking at a piece of paper 3 days before, and all of a sudden, I felt just enveloped and communicated with by God that we didn't have to debate the scientists on their terms, that we could present our reasons for not wanting a nuclear power plant so close to us or anywhere, but certainly there. So it was, that hymn that we just played was very inspiring to me for courage and just figuring out what we wanted to do. And so I went on to sort of train myself because I got involved with the organizing around opposition to the plant. And so I trained myself I presented on TV and spoke at churches and schools and all. And I don't know how good I was, but, for me to do that was like, so. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay. So next. So this is a passage of scripture that I'm sure you all know very well. You can, let me just move this. So yeah, we moved to Winter Park, Florida in 1980. And I joined Maitland Presbyterian Church because then I still felt I could join a church. Sang in the choir there and served on the outreach committee. And in those days, the Presbyterian Hunger Program had a hunger action enabler at each presbytery, or a lot of presbyteries. We did. So I heard him talk at one point, and chit-chatted afterwards, and he asked me if I was interested in serving on the Hunger Action Committee. So I said yes. And I became sort of a spokesperson in the presbytery. I mean, he was still the Hunger Action enabler, but I went around and did organizing for the 2 cents per meal program, which I don't know if you guys ever did that up here, but it was, yeah, something kids participated in too, and 2 cents being the key. And that we put it in a little box, and then and I just organized some churches to do that. And so I felt like I wrote minutes for mission and spoke in churches. And so I even preached a couple of times. That was a first. And so I just reread and reread this scripture to kind of keep me going. So, all right. 11. Next.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
Why does
Oh God. Lord. It's so weird because I don't get those ads on YouTube and I don't know. Nope. I don't get anything. I have no idea why though. Yeah, it's hard to hear. It seems hard to hear. Thank you. You all probably know that hymn. It was actually written by a Catholic priest. And we moved to Brockport from Florida in 1985. And it was, I will say it was a difficult time for us as a family for a variety of reasons. But one, I was in the middle of a pretty severe depression. And so moving was sort of the last thing I felt capable of doing. But so when I joined the Presbyterian Church in Brockport, but I didn't really do very much there for a couple of years. However, I began to learn something about farm workers that really keep our agricultural industry going upstate. And so the more I learned, the more interested I became in them. A lot of them had substandard housing. They felt unwelcome. They were mostly undocumented and not even able to always access good food, which is sort of amazing considering what they're doing. So after talking with the farm workers and their families, by then I had joined the outreach committee and we formed a group called the Brockport Ecumenical Outreach Committee, which was a group of 7 Brockport churches who worked together to address some of these things. And but one thing we did, which was easy because it was once a year, was to have a big celebration. And we would get like 300 or 400 farm workers to come to the celebration. But we also did much more practical stuff like informing people of their rights, not me, but having a lawyer who knew, informing the farm workers about their rights and various workshops like that. And we went to, did lobbying with farm workers and some of us, and reached out to lawyers so that we knew lawyers that we could recommend, things like that. And I decided in 1995. I was very involved by then with farm workers, and I decided to retire from full-time work. I was an investigator with the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and it was a pretty demanding job, and I wanted to devote more time to unpaid work, shall we say so. Okay. And that song was just something that really inspired me. And so that, again, it's one of those things where for me, music is something that really helps me live my life. And so that was one of the songs that I associate with that period especially, but I still love it. So, okay, next.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Oh, more ads.
Hello.
It's crazy.
Tú has venido a la orilla, no has buscado ni a sabios ni a ricos, tan solo quieres que yo te siga, Señor. Me has mirado a los ojos, sonriendo, has dicho mi nombre. En la arena he dejado mi barca junto a ti. Buscaré otro mar.
Thank you. Yeah, in 1999, I went to Oaxaca in Mexico to improve my Spanish. I did speak some, but not very much. And I was very rusty because I had learned it as a kid. So when I returned, I was hired to work and wanted to work as a bilingual tutor with the SUNY Brockport Migrant Education Program, which still exists. I work with the children, middle and high school, of Mexican and Central American farm workers. And I was really inspired by my students to envision them as empowered adults. And that shaped how we work together. One thing I learned this at the Hispanic Catholic Mass, which was a separate Mass from the regular Mass at Nativity Church in Brockport. And I started attending that as well as the Presbyterian church in what my son referred to as a double header. But but I really loved both churches. I really did, even though I didn't, wasn't like a Catholic that had all that training and all those things that you're supposed to believe. I attended the mass with some of the students and their families, and I like the line of this hymn, particularly about joining together with Jesus to seek other seas, and that's almost like a conversion experience for the fishermen who were the ones that were called. So I did a lot with the students that wasn't tutoring. Took them out to dinner. I take them to concerts, talks. They would workshops to learn about their rights and all that stuff, because to me, I could see them as they were great, most of them. I mean, the middle school kids have middle school things, right? And so they were challenging at times, but I really loved them. And so it was, I wanted them to be able to envision themselves as being able to do things to improve their own, to help with things like their rights and stuff. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful experience with them. And I did it, I think, for, how long? 4 years. And I must say, the migrant education program took somewhat of a dim view of the fact that I was so involved with them. But even though I had left, all my kids graduated high school, which in those days almost never happened for the kids of farm workers. And so I just felt like being able to see them as effective adults who could decide what they wanted to do, and so it was just a really rewarding experience and just fabulous. I just really love those kids. So next is the last one. A little louder.
Quiere arreglar sus papeles, pero ha escuchado que no
Oh,
califica
that's
para
the
nada.
ad.
Soy
Okay.
la abogada Ángeles.
Alegría, Señor, cantando vienen con alegría, Señor. Los que caminan por la vida, Señor, sembrando tu paz y amor. Los que caminan por la vida, Señor, sembrando tu paz y amor.
In 2004, I went to the Mexican border to work. I had been accepted for a volunteer position at Frontera de Cristo, which was a Presbyterian binational border ministry then. So there it was run by ministers on both sides of the border, both Mexican and American. And my title was kind of weird, liaison with faith-based groups. but it was kind of more like liaison with everybody. And the pastors I worked for were just wonderful help, infinite sources of guidance and prayer and humor. And so it was really a wonderful time. One important gift that I found at Frontera, and that Frontera gave me along with God, was that I took it with me for all justice work I've done, is the importance of recognizing and valuing everybody's gifts. So if somebody seems like not educated or is disabled in some way or just all kinds of things, there's always a job for you. And so that Corinthians 12, verses 4 through 5, which I don't think I have on the slide, it was kind of something I really absorbed, I guess. So the kinds of we did just infinite amount of stuff, and so I'm not gonna say it was just an amazing experience, truly wonderful. But so the photo is our first tank of water on the border. Our program was called Agua para la Vida, Water for Life, and the Border Patrol had been breaking up bottles and barrels and emptying them on the U.S. side of the border. So we decided that we would do our barrels all along the Mexican side of the border, so the Border Patrol couldn't destroy them. And we had more than 1,000 people dying crossing the border at that time, because that was the main crossing point. It isn't now, but it was then. And so, yeah, so there were a lot of people dying from lack of water, among other things. So the barrels of water were a huge thing to have available. And then we did a migrant resource center also right at the border, but on the Mexican side, because of what we did was recruited churches, organizations, and public officials on both sides of the border for input into what the center should provide. And we had we've offered food, beverages, clothing, respite care, connections to doctors and hospitals for people who were having great medical difficulties, phones to reach family and friends, and transportation connections. And that transportation connections is really, it was more like the transportation was done by coyotes, which are guides, and using them was not a good idea because it was really against the law, but they were calling them so. And then we also, I know it's late, so I'm just gonna, we also did mission 40 or so, 45 mission groups every year. So, and that, there's just funny stories. I have a lot of funny stories, which I will not go into. But the one I will mention, which is when I was arrested, and I was arrested for harboring and transporting, which I was doing. And the interrogator said to me, "You know the rules, so why did you do this?" referring to my charges of harboring and transporting. And I thought for a second and I said, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me." And I have to say, he dead silence after that. And then I went back to my not very comfortable cell and was released a day later, minus my car. So that's all. Thank you all. And I'm sorry it's late.
Grania, I think we're all aware that you've had 18 more years of activism after what you've showed us here. What a life you've lived of service and so much connection between what you believe and the way you've lived your life all over the world.
What I believe has led me to do that.
Yeah, it's like reciprocal.
Has helped me all the way.
You know, all these people have questions, but we have run out of time.
You just have to talk to me some other time.
I do want to tell you that next week Val Fowler's going to come. He's going to bring his guitar, and he told me, really no one's ever asked me to share my spiritual journey before. I can't wait to do it. So he is right now the moderator of our session and has been for the last year plus. So a number of people know him, and he'll be here next week. So please come back. Yeah. That was